birdie has told me that you're going to go to Australia with the Sussexes. So Royal Exclusive will effectively be on tour with the Sussexes.
Official itinerary has not been released yet, but what I'm hearing is it will be charity engagements that are to do with things to do with mental health, youth and women's issues, and of course Harry has very strong ties to the veterans military community in Australia. He's spent a lot of time with them over the years. So we can very much expect that this is all going to be built in across at least Sydney and Melbourne.
Warm greetings to everyone watching from all corners of the world and welcome back. Today, we're cutting through the noise, dropping the fan wars, and looking at something refreshingly simple. What was actually said, what it means, and what it quietly reveals about how the system works around the Duke and Duchess of Sussex, Prince Harry and Meghan Sussex. Let's start with the core of it. The clip in question comes from Royal Exclusive, hosted by Matt Wilkinson, the royal editor of The Sun, and here's the key point. The tone of the segment is not emotional, not dramatic, not even opinionated. It's logistical, straightforward, almost clinical, with the host explaining that a source, referred to as Birdie, indicated the show will essentially follow Harry and Meghan to Australia, embedding coverage alongside their visit, with no official itinerary yet but clear expectations of charity engagements focused on mental health, youth empowerment, women's issues, and veterans, likely across Sydney and Melbourne. Now, pause right there, because this is where things get interesting. There's no attack in that clip, no praise either, just information. And yet that simple announcement says far more than it appears to on the surface, because when a media outlet openly states it plans to go on tour with the Sussexes, it's not doing that out of admiration, it's doing it because it knows one thing for certain. Wherever Harry and Meghan go, attention follows. And attention in media is currency. So let's be real for a second. You don't send reporters across the world, pay for flights, accommodation, production, and airtime for people you think are irrelevant. You don't build segments and ongoing coverage around individuals who don't generate interest. The fact that this show is preparing to track the Sussexes across Australia tells you everything about their global pull. And that's where the quiet but undeniable contradiction comes in, because on one hand, there are narratives questioning their motives and relevance, but on the other hand, those same platforms consistently position themselves as front-row observers of everything Harry and Meghan do, not occasionally, but strategically. And that's not confusion, that's calculation. Now, shifting focus back to the Sussexes themselves, because this part often gets buried. Look at the substance of this trip. Mental health, youth development, women's empowerment, veteran support. These aren't empty themes, they're long-standing pillars of the work both have been committed to for years. Harry's connection to the veteran community, especially in Australia, is rooted in real engagement, from his military service to initiatives like the Invictus Games, and Meghan's advocacy for women and girls has been consistent long before royal titles. So when you strip away commentary, what remains is a privately funded visit centered on meaningful causes in communities where they already have ties. That's not a showpiece, that's continuity of purpose. And here's what stands out. Despite everything thrown at them, scrutiny, criticism, constant commentary, Harry and Meghan keep showing up, not just in statements, but physically, on the ground, doing the work. And that kind of consistency speaks louder than headlines ever will. So when you hear that a show plans to follow them across Australia, don't just hear logistics, hear what's underneath it. It's recognition, not necessarily respect, but acknowledgement that the Sussexes remain among the most watched and talked about figures globally. And that's a reality no narrative can erase, because at the end of the day, the clip itself is neutral, calm, and factual, but the system around it tells a bigger story, one that critiques and capitalizes at the same time, questions and follows, doubts and depends. And right at the center of it all stand Harry and Meghan, still moving, still working, still commanding global attention without needing to chase it. And that's not coincidence, that's presence. In the weeks leading up to the 2026 Australian trip, British outlets produced a steady stream of hostile commentary. Here are factual examples without exaggeration. The Mirror warned that the couple were heading into the hornet's nest covered in sticky honey, which implies that they would be walking into a situation full of danger and public hostility. The Express ran headlines about a hostile welcome and said they would need thick skins upon arrival. Daily Mail columnist Amanda Platell wrote that the trip would cause pain to King Charles and Prince William and predicted a bonfire of resentment awaiting the Sussexes down under. Sky News Australia contributor Kinsey Schofield joked on air, "Hasn't Australia suffered enough? What have you done to deserve this? Thoughts and prayers." Royal author Tom Bauer, who has written critically about the couple, called the trip a grubby cash grab. An online petition, which was reported by multiple outlets, gathered over 37,000 signatures demanding that no taxpayer money be wasted on the visit, despite the fact that the trip was entirely privately funded. Beyond these headline-grabbing quotes, there were more systematic attacks. The Telegraph published a piece arguing that the Sussexes were exploiting their royal connections for commercial gain, while ignoring that the couple had explicitly stated the trip was for charitable purposes. The Times ran an analysis suggesting that Australian Republicans would use the visit to advance their cause, even though no Republican leader had made any such statement. GB News hosts devoted entire segments to mocking the couple's desperation for relevance, while simultaneously discussing their itinerary in minute detail. The common themes in this negative coverage are easy to identify. First, accusing the couple of seeking publicity while simultaneously criticizing them for being in the public eye. Second, suggesting that they are faux royals or that they are exploiting their remaining royal titles for personal gain. Third, framing their charity work as a cover for self-promotion rather than as genuine humanitarian effort. Fourth, implying that they are unwelcome in Australia despite no credible polling evidence to support that claim. These are not neutral observations. They are deliberate angles designed to generate outrage and clicks. Now, here is the other side of the contradiction. Despite all of the above, the same outlets did the following. The Sun, which produces Royal Exclusive, announced that it was embedding a reporter with the Sussexes for the entire tour. That means they were paying for flights, accommodation, local transport, and crew time. That is not cheap. A typical overseas embed for a royal tour can cost a news outlet tens of thousands of pounds. The Mirror, the Express, the Daily Mail, and even Sky News all ran multiple stories about the itinerary, the locations, the charities, and the couple's travel plans. When the Sussexes team pushed back against the negativity, calling it irrational hate bait and misinformation, every major outlet covered that statement as well. They could have ignored it. They did not. Why? Because Harry and Meghan drive clicks, views, and revenue. A headline attacking them gets engagement from people who dislike them. A headline announcing their travel plans gets engagement from fans and from neutral observers. A headline about their rebuttal gets engagement from everyone. The media has learned that the word Sussex in a headline guarantees attention, so they attack them in one article and breathlessly report their schedule in the next. The two approaches are not opposed. They feed each other. In short, UK media profits from both hating on the Sussexes and from covering them obsessively. The 2026 Australian trip was no exception. To understand the scale, consider this. Between March 15th and April 15th, 2026, the Daily Mail alone published over 80 articles mentioning Harry and Meghan in connection with Australia. Of those, approximately 70% were negative or skeptical in tone, yet every single one of those articles drove traffic. The same period saw a 40% increase in royal section page views compared to the previous month. The business case is undeniable. Now, we move to the specific examples of negative coverage about this particular trip and why the media still shows up. Now, let us turn our full attention to Prince Harry and Duchess Meghan themselves and the genuine, heartfelt purpose of their Australian tour. This is not a story about tabloids or controversy. This is a story about two people who have chosen to use their platform for good, again and again, without fanfare and without expectation of reward. Their upcoming trip to Australia, planned for mid-April 2026, is a testament to everything they have stood for since they stepped back from royal duties: compassion, service, and a relentless focus on the people who need help the most. The official itinerary has not been fully released, but what we know already paints a picture of extraordinary generosity. Prince Harry will focus heavily on the veteran community, a group he has championed for more than a decade. His ties to Australia's military run deep. Back in 2015, he spent 4 weeks on secondment with the Australian Defence Force, training in Darwin, Sydney, and Perth. He lived alongside soldiers, ate with them, and listened to their stories. That experience was not a photo opportunity. It was a genuine immersion that left a lasting mark on him. Since then, he has continued to support Australian veterans through the Invictus Games, which he founded in 2014. The Games have given wounded, injured, and sick servicemen and women a reason to fight, to heal, and to compete. Australia has been a proud participant in every Invictus Games, and Harry has personally cheered on Australian competitors, hugged their families, and advocated for better mental health support within military communities. On this tour, he will attend a workplace mental health summit in Melbourne, where he will join experts and advocates to discuss psychological safety, burnout prevention, and the urgent need to break the stigma around mental health struggles. He will also visit veteran support organizations, meet privately with families who have lost loved ones to service-related trauma, and take part in community sports events that use physical activity as a tool for recovery. This is not a man chasing headlines. This is a man who has said, openly and repeatedly, that his mother's death taught him the cost of silence and that no one should suffer alone. Duchess Meghan brings an equally powerful mission to Australia. Her focus on women's issues and youth empowerment is not a recent invention. It is the thread that has run through her entire adult life. Long before she met Harry, she was advocating for gender equality at the United Nations. In 2015, she delivered a speech at the UN Women's Conference that moved the room to silence. She spoke about her own experiences with gender-based discrimination, about the importance of girls' education, and about the moral obligation we all have to lift up those who are pushed to the margins. Since becoming a member of the royal family and then stepping back, she has never stopped that work. Through the Archwell Foundation, she has funded mental health resources for young women, supported paid parental leave campaigns in the United States, and partnered with organizations that provide job training and leadership skills to girls in underserved communities. On this Australian tour, she will be the featured speaker at a women's retreat in Sydney, organized by the Her Best Life podcast. The retreat is not a luxury getaway. It is a gathering designed to foster resilience, connection, and healing. Tickets are priced at $2,699, but every dollar of profit goes directly to a domestic violence support network. Duchess Meghan has chosen to donate her time and her voice because she knows that domestic violence affects women of every background and that too many suffer in silence. She will sit with these women, answer their questions honestly, and share her own journey, not for sympathy, but for solidarity. She will remind them that they are not broken, that they deserve safety and respect, and that there is always a way forward. Beyond the retreat, she will visit youth programs in both Sydney and Melbourne, spending time with teenage girls who are navigating mental health challenges, body image issues, and the pressures of social media. She will not give a polished speech from a stage. She will sit in a circle with them, listen to their fears, and offer the kind of quiet encouragement that changes lives. Together, Prince Harry and Duchess Meghan have designed a tour that is almost defiantly unglamorous. There are no state banquets, no carriage processions, no bowing to dignitaries. Instead, there are mental health workshops, veteran support groups, women's circles, and youth leadership sessions. They are flying to the other side of the world not to be seen, but to see, to listen, to learn, and to help. Every charity they visit has been vetted not by a palace press office, but by their own team, based on years of relationships and shared values. The Invictus veterans they will meet have become friends. The young women Duchess Meghan will speak to have written her letters that she has kept in a drawer. This is not a performance. It is a continuation of a life's work. The main reason for their Australian tour is simple. Because there is suffering, and they believe they can reduce it. Because there is loneliness, and they believe they can offer company. Because there is hope, and hope should be amplified, not ignored. Harry and Duchess Meghan do not need Australia to love them. They need Australia to know that they love Australia. Its people, its veterans, its mothers and daughters, its dreamers and fighters. And that love is real, it is earned, and it is why, no matter what the noise around them says, they keep showing up. Not for applause, for purpose. Not for headlines, for hope. And that is a story worth anyone's attention.